Hi, you're listening to Book Chat with author Vivian E. Moore.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello and welcome to Book Chat. I am your host, author Vivian E. Moore. I hope everyone had a great week and I hope you're having a great weekend. I hope you're out enjoying this nice fall weather that we're having. Yes, it is officially fall and I am so excited about it. This is one of my favorite times of the year. The trees haven't started to turn yet, but that's okay. I know that will be coming soon, especially if the temperatures continue to dip down into the lower digits during the nighttime. So anyway, enough about the weather. Let's move on to today's show. All right, so the title of today's show is Bet You Didn't See That Coming, and the topic is plot twists. There is nothing better than a great plot, one filled with exquisite and meaningful turns. Still, there is nothing worse than a typical plot with little excitement since you already know how it will all end. Now, I'm a huge thriller mystery fan. Walter Mosley, James Patterson, John Grisham, Harlan Coben, and Leanne Moriarty, I think I pronounced her name right, Moriarty, are a few of my favorite mystery thriller writers. So if you haven't been introduced to these excellent writers, then this is your opportunity to choose one of their great books and sit back and enjoy. But anyway, I consider myself to be a good judge of a great plot and all that entails. And recently, I read one of many stories and a sizable amount of them that kept me guessing. It had all the workings of a skilled writer who gave nothing away until the end. Now, that's how you write an unputdownable mystery thriller with the right amount of twists and turns. Unlike mediocre writers, and no disrespect to those writers, okay? I just wanted to make the distinction between, good and bad writers, okay? Well, anyway, those writers, and you know who you are, who add so many twists and turns to a plot that it's impossible to keep up. You know, this type of writing style is not being clever, and it is never good to confuse the reader so much that they give up reading the story before ever reaching the end. Now, and I have to be honest when I say this, that I have read a great many books that ended that very way because it was just too much. I'm like, okay, I don't know what is going on in this story. I don't know who this is and who that was and what they did. And, it's so crazy that you actually need a flow chart just to keep up with what's going on in the story. And that's not good. I like being confused in a good way, but I don't want to be confused in a way to which, I'm just so disgusted with the entire book that I just say, okay, that's it, on to the next one. So you don't want that happening. You want to keep the readers happy, and you want them to most certainly not begin reading your book, but to also finish reading the book because, it means a lot, and you want to get those good reviews in the end, and if you know that you've worked very, very hard on creating and completing a story, you want that review at the end of it. So, just follow some simple guidelines, and I'm going to give you a few today. That's the whole reason for today's show, okay? And so the plot does thicken, and it is guaranteed to keep you fully involved, all right? So today I want to share a few essential elements about plots, plot types, and all the exciting details of what makes a great plot. Okay. So the first type of plot is the exposition. That is the beginning of the story. And in this, you will find all the details of unfolding events. Okay. That's very, very important. And second is the rise of action, which reveals the conflict. And then the third is the climax. Not quite the end, but you can tell it's not far away when you enter this point of the story. And finally, we come to the resolution. Okay, so every dirty detail is exposed by then, and then we can understand which part each player participated in the story. Okay, if you didn't get it at the exposition, then you will most definitely get it at some point during the story, and hopefully at the end. Okay, so to become a great thriller novelist or writer in general, you need to understand the inner workings of what that means, okay? All right, so I'm just going to break it down a little bit for you, all right? All right, so if you don't understand storytelling, well, if you don't understand that, then this isn't the place for you, okay? But, and I can't stress the importance of a structured layout of a story, or the structured layout of a story. That's very important. I know a lot of people use flow charts because it helps them to basically chart out the story, to put it in writing so they can see how the story will flow. It helps them to be more creative and to become better writers, especially if they can see for themselves how to work out everything in the story then while they're writing it. And once you read it, then you've seen what they saw, and so on. Okay. All right. So like any story, there is a starting point, or like I mentioned earlier, the exposition. This point sets the scene and introduces the main characters and their part in the story. Okay. No story is worth reading if conflict doesn't exist. And as much as I hate to say this, I don't hate to say it, but I just need to point this out. If the world would be a much greater place to live if there wasn't any conflict. But as we all know, that is just not how it works. Okay. But in fiction, it's necessary, and every story must have some level of conflict to build the excitement and to feel as though it's leading somewhere. Now that is for the readers. That's just being a great writer. Putting in all of those details and all of those crucial elements to make a great story is all necessary. And so after the rise of action follows a climactic state, better known as the resolution. Boy, don't we love resolutions. All right. And even in the real world, we need resolution, even if it seems that it might not ever happen. And I'm not even going there today, but I had to throw that out there. Okay. I gave it an honorable mention. All right. Still, it must occur in the fictional world. Otherwise, what would be the story's point? Even if you're not the strongest writer yet, just know there are ways to improve upon your skill. Okay, you should always do that. It doesn't matter if you are a bestseller. You still need to improve, because you just don't want to be a one-time hit. You want to continue to make great hits. So that means you got to improve upon your skill. You got to become better and better and better. All right. And, and not be so general that the readers will, they will expect you to write a certain way, which that's necessary, because that's why readers choose certain authors, because of their writing style. But also you want to give them something a little extra, to make it exciting for them, so they will, continue to come back for the next story and the next story and the next story. All right. Google is at your disposal, And all you need to do is search for ways to build your skill level. Yes, having the gift is essential, but even gifted writers at some point need a little advice, just like I said before. That's why we get reviews, because we want to know what you think. We want to know what you think of our work. If the story was well written, if the characters were strong, if the story was detailed enough, you get all of that feedback from the readers, and that is what makes good writers great writers, because they take notes from all of these reviews that they receive. They take notes from them, and they learn from them. They learn from you, the reader. What was the high points? What were the low points? What things you could improve upon? What details that they felt were lacking and those that were strong. You can't please every single reader, but the majority of most readers, they typically like what they read. And they'll tell you so. If they didn't like it, they would definitely tell you that too. So you want to get those reviews, and hopefully they, maybe they all won't be good reviews, but still there will be more good than bad, I hope. Okay. So becoming a talented writer isn't achieved overnight, but is achievable. It takes practice and skill, hours of preparation before you're ready to share the fruit of your labor with the world. All right. So that ends our show for today. But before I let you go, I want to make sure that I give you these URLs, because I want you to stay in contact with Book Chat and with me. Okay. So of course, the first one is to Spreaker. That is the platform. It is https://www.spreaker.com/user/author Vivian E. Moore. You can follow me over all social media platforms, which includes Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And Instagram is by invitation only. Okay. Also, you can check out my website if you please. It is at www.vivianemore.com. authorvivianemore.com, or either authorehshepard.com. And also you can check out my blog. That is at https://vivianemore.blogspot.com. Okay. And if you missed today's live show, you can listen to it as many times as you want, I promise, on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, YouTube, SoundCloud, JioSaven, Audible.com, Verbal, that is spelled VURBL, and Luminary. All right. So those are all the places where you can listen to the recorded episodes of Book Chat, starting from day one, 3 years ago, up until today. Okay. So, tomorrow is worship day. It's the fourth Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, for those who are still doing the online sermons and things of that nature, you're going to church, but you're just doing it from your house, which when we were doing that, I truly enjoyed it, because it was just great to be able, it was like a luxury, actually, to be able to come to your dining room table and and have church from there. I missed seeing everyone in person, but I understood the situation, and that at that time, we couldn't. But now we are back in the building, and we get to see everyone. We're still not doing, the contact and things of that nature, because of the virus that is so terrible, still terrible, and it seems to be getting worse by the day. But still, we're doing everything that we must do to stay safe and to stay well. So I hope that you're doing the same. And if you are, still listening from home, please invite family members and friends and neighbors to also listen in. Give them those website URLs, or either the phone number. If you're doing it over the phone, you can share it with them so they can do that. And also, you need to tell people. Express how you feel. Don't be afraid to tell people, how you feel about them, because it is so important. As we know, as the world changes on a day-by-day basis, every minute, every second, it is so important to tell those that we care the most about how we feel. So on that note, I love you. I hope you love me back. Until the next time you hear my voice, God bless you and goodbye.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.